All right. There we go, guys. We are back for yet another episode of the Soccer Dad Pod, where we attempt to enlighten as many as possible as to our soccer insights. Talk about our kids, talk about our lives, talk about beer, talk about whatever makes sense at the moment. And tonight is going to be one of the fun ones because we have some of my favorite people in the world here. Across the spectrum, not only other soccer dads, but longtime friends, soccer teammates, as well as business partners, etc., etc., etc. It's going to be a fun episode. First off, carpool co-host of the day, Jared Bertrand. Say hello.
Come on. Let's go. Carpool co-host.
Yep.
Bring it.
So we're just going to get right into it today. I've got two guests that are going to be on today on this episode that have probably meant more to the soccer scene in the last 15 years than the vast majority of clubs or coaches or anybody that actually touches a ball. Super proud of this one. This is Matt Stelzer from the Amsterdam Tavern, one of the original founders, owners, openers. And we've got Mr. John Shine from Urban Chestnut Brewing Company, one of the largest supporters of soccer in the area on today. So let's just start with a quick hello. First quarter at a minimum. We've got Matt Stelzer by himself. John is somewhere around here because we are at the illustrious, famous Urban Chestnut Brewing Company on Manchester in the Grove. Matt, say hello.
Hello.
Matt, say anything else you'd like to say.
Come on, Matt. Can I get a FU at least?
Yeah, he...
Just wait. 2 more beers.
It's coming. It is coming.
No, thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah, man. Obviously, we've been in the trenches for a long time on the south side here, in business together, and as well as obviously me paying your power bill down at Amsterdam for the first 3-4 years in the form of Miller Lights and
Powers Hour.
Powers Hour. I'm really looking forward to this because this show is really dedicated to the nuance and the kind of the absurdity that is the sideline of soccer and just the normalcy of soccer dads, soccer moms, and people that love the game, that are around the game, that their lives, their endeavors, and how it relates to the game. And what you have done, what you and your brother and Lyle and the team at Amsterdam have done in the past, what is it now?
A little over 14 years.
14 years to the south side. In a city that is a soccer city, you kind of raised the bar.
Oh, brother.
Yeah. So here's where I'm going to start with this. You don't need to say anything. You just need to listen to Jared for a second. Because Jared, my friend here, lifetime soccer player, right? You're D1 player, Missouri State. You had your accolades. You've put the boots on for many a year. You know everything about the game, right? But I'm going to completely embarrass you at this point. Tell me again, when was the first time you stepped foot in Amsterdam Tavern?
It was today.
Boo.
Didn't even know it existed. Had friends that went there. Was like, I live out in Wentzville. I got some soccer bars. We got Hat Tricks on Mexico Road, which is relatively new. We got some other people that think they know soccer. Walked into Amsterdam Tavern today. Absolute mecca. Ashamed. Embarrassed. Hadn't been. Shame on me. Played my whole life in this city. Love soccer. And didn't know these Stelzers knew what soccer was. I mean, kudos to them.
Well, and I'm giggling here because we're already trading cell phone snippets of things we're going to talk about, and we're looking at a meme completely making fun of Arsenal or arse and anal. Here's the thing, Jared, and you can speak to this having been literally introduced to it today. I don't think there is a bar in the Midwest, because we've been all over the place with our kids, independently, as young adults, etc., from Chicago to Cincinnati to Columbus, all over the place, right? Name a better soccer bar in the Midwest, quite possibly in the nation, than Amsterdam Tavern.
The only one I can think of is my garage, but after that, we don't have a liquor license, so there is none.
Yeah. Matt, how does that make you feel, though, when you hear about a guy that's in our backyard that literally just walked in for the first time today?
No, I love it, actually. Understandably, he lives in Wentzville, so that's a long drive. He was telling me earlier that it was his first time in, and I'm like, I get it. I'm like, here's the deal. You go down to the bar and you have a couple drinks, or you have more than a couple of drinks, and you don't want to drive.
Yeah.
Hopefully you have a friend who lives in the city, or you take a $150 Uber ride home.
Well,
I would have loved the $150 Uber drive home, because it would have saved me $50,950.
well, I believe what we're leaning into is a whole other legal topic here. Yeah, you know what, Matt? This is you and I have had a million different conversations. Privately, publicly, sitting at a bar with, a room full of 500 people rooting for our team, their team, U.S. team, etc. And we've sat at that pub with two people, you and I, watching the same. This many years in, I'm gonna go to the finish line first, and then we're gonna go to the kind of the Amsterdam origins per se. How does it make you feel today because I know you're not there a lot these days, when you turn on the camera and look at people from your couch, knowing the effect and the impact you've had on the soccer scene here?
Yeah, it's great. Again, I love it. It's something that the three of us are very proud of, and we did create something. I think we created a viewership in St. Louis that really wasn't there, as far as outside of the house.
Right.
So, it's something that, was basically just kind of a dream, and kind of like a lemonade stand when we first opened up, never thinking it would ever actually go this big. I just thought, hey, if I can have a bar for 3 or 4 years, and then it doesn't work out, hey, at least I tried it and it was great, and it's something I can check off the list. But, it's obviously not that, because we're almost 14 and a half years into it, and it's just continually growing and growing and growing, and it's pretty amazing.
So so let's go back to the starting line then. Little bit of background on you guys. I'll give the 10,000 foot. You fill in the gaps. You are the youngest of 7, I believe. Six. Okay. Five boys, 1 daughter.
That's it.
Most of you played soccer, a few at a very high level, you being one of them. You played D1 at Loyola up in Chicago. So
go Ramblers on Sunday.
Yeah. Boy, there you go.
Missouri State hammers the Ramblers every get out.
Yes,
it's unbelievable.
Yeah, but
go on.
You know what's funny is that we had a tournament called the Jesuit Cup my senior year, which would have been the fall of '91, and Missouri, it was Southwest Missouri back then, and they came up and we hammered them 3-1.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah,
that may have happened.
I'm pretty sure it did. But that was back in the day whenever Rush Limbaugh was your mascot, right?
It was either Rush Limbaugh or Roseanne Barr.
Yeah. So where I want to go with this is actually you've been in and around the game your whole life. Your dad is one of those proverbial kind of like a mecca soccer dad that basically donated all his time, all the time, to make sure you guys were on the field playing, be competitive, and he pushed and pushed and pushed, right?
Yes.
From then all the way to your, I'm probably going to age you a little bit, but your late 30s when you landed back here and you decide we're going to open this place. And then 12 years later, Amsterdam Tavern is known via NBC Sports and ESPN Soccer. You guys are a mecca. Talk about the breadth, how big it is for you, having grown up in a soccer home, to be in the position you are running this bar. Talk about soccer in general in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just go back to kind of like how it all happened. Hopefully that'll explain a little bit. But, obviously growing up in St. Louis, and St. Louis is a big soccer town, and, playing since I was 4 or 5 years old, and playing in high school and club and all that, and then having the opportunity to play at Loyola was amazing. And I got to play with my brother Rob, too, for 1 year, which was awesome. And then, living in kind of all over the country, mainly in Chicago and in Europe for a little bit, and you're able to walk out to a pub in Chicago, any Irish pub, and catch a EPL game. I mean, it was limited back then just because you had the satellite, and cost the bar like $500 or $1,000 to get the feed, and then they charge you $25. And I was poor back then, so $25 was a lot of money to get into.
Yeah, but you're cheap now. $25 is a lot of money for you now. I'm not spending $25.
Yeah. So, and then moving back to St. Louis in my mid-30s, and then realizing wow,
we have nowhere.
There's nowhere to watch this. This is crazy. So my brother Rob and I just had this idea. We're like, hey, we need to open up a soccer bar. It's sorely needed in this city. And we looked at looked at different places, and we found this place on Morganford, and it was, quite frankly, it was a dive. It was worse than a dive. It was a dive.
Yeah.
And we rented it out for a while, and then finally, after about 4 or 5 years, we bought the building and started doing improvements, and obviously that helped out a lot.
Yeah, the improvements are amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know who did that.
I don't know who did that either.
I mean, I
think the guy across from me helped out a little bit.
Why is the front wall blue?
Yeah, the interior.
Chelsea.
Oh my!
Come on.
God. I mean,
true story.
Really?
When we tore that front wall out,
did you notice the 3 white stripes too?
Yeah, it was all Adidas.
I did.
They did that, and I made sure to come in super early in the morning, and I made my guy painted all that royal Chelsea blue. I literally Googled the Chelsea color code and had that blue made, and then they all walked in, and Matt immediately was like, "I get it." And the rest of the crew, which were not Chelsea fans, were like, "What the fuck is this?" They were pissed.
Yeah.
And years later, it's still there.
Too bad, too sad.
No,
2 Champions League finals and wins.
Yeah, it's the thing about Amsterdam for me, and obviously I'm skewed. I'm too close to it, but it's become predictable for me in a sense that soccer's grown so fast in the United States, specifically through FIFA. The video game aspect for kids has just skyrocketed, and then you have NBC Sports took the ball and ran with it big time, brought everybody into the game, and now you've got all these pay-per-view services, etc. And what you guys do is you are an aggregator. You are. It doesn't matter what the game is, what the league is, what time of day. The beauty of your place, and I don't think people really understand this, it doesn't matter if it's a 6 a.m. La Liga match or, most of them are never later in the afternoon because it's European heavy. You cater exclusively to the soccer market, which is extremely different than the majority of, quote, soccer bars in America, period.
Right.
Well,
right.
most places throughout the city, county, and then you get out west to St. Charles County, there are people that think they are soccer bars, they don't hold a candle to a place like this that you walk in. The original building, the original structure has a 40-foot wall that's decorated in only soccer. Secondly, they
Amsterdam.
Let's go, fans. They're on point. They play games. They're there to play games. I mean, if you're a ping pong bar, you're going to have the ping pong game on. They have soccer games on. That's you go there to watch soccer games.
Well, so at what point did you decide, though? I mean, you had to know going into it because you already knew the time change was a real thing. And clearly, day one, you knew that EPL was the league.
Right.
How were you prepared to build a squad and a team ready to address 7 a.m., 8 a.m. games on Saturdays and Sundays?
Well, originally that was me and the original owners and a couple of young bartenders that we found through friends, and and they were, the young guys were all soccer fans. I mean, I was still working a job Monday through Friday, and I would work Monday nights, Wednesday nights, Friday nights, and wake up at 5 in the morning. The bar cleaned to open up at 6 a.m. So yeah, I mean it was a struggle, but it worked out. And once we did that, and I think it's about consistency. So we were consistent that we were going to open up. It didn't matter who it was at 6 a.m. We were still going to open up, and you would always get 1 or 2, maybe 10 for that game, and then the 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock or the late game, the 11:30 game. People would be packing in, and I think that's the difference, is that we open up at 6 a.m. We will always open up at 6 a.m.
Well, I always
not
find
a game at 6 a.m.
I always find it funny, like if we're into the week, we know there's a big game on a Saturday or Sunday. If we're down there for a happy hour or a lunch on a Friday, what kills me is the amount of time that people call and are like, let's say remember the year there was, I think it was the Olympic game or something that was on a Saturday morning at like 8 a.m.
Oh,
and we were there.
The hockey game.
Well, the hockey game, and then, but there was it was a trifecta of U.S. hockey, then U.S. soccer, then Chelsea, right? Back to back.
Right.
And that Friday we were up there doing some things, getting ready, and your phone wouldn't stop ringing. And people are like, "Are you going to have the U.S. game on?"
Yeah. So the running joke with the bartenders is that on a big day, specifically, like for example, coming up the World Cup, and the phone will ring off. You just answer it, yes, and hang up.
Excuse me, will you have the U.S. England game on Black Friday? No, we don't like money. We're not going to show that game.
We're going to have the whole road closed off, asshole.
Yeah. So yes, that's a perfect segue. Let's for all of you people listening, wondering, how do I break my Amsterdam cherry and go and be a part of it? There probably hasn't been a better opportunity, really, in the recent 3, 4, 5 years than the World Cup this year with Black Friday's game. Talk about what you guys are doing, what that game is, and what it means to Amsterdam.
Yeah. So the group that the U.S. is in, I'm sure most people know, it's England and Wales and then Iran. So we got lucky on as far as having the game on Black Friday, because obviously that's Thanksgiving weekend. It's the day after Thanksgiving. Everybody's home from college. Everybody's off that day, and it's a great time. It's 1 p.m. So, we're blocking off the street or half the street, and we'll have a jumbo TV out there on a truck, and we'll have a couple of bars out there. We'll have both of our kitchens. We'll have food. So yeah, it's gonna be pretty amazing, and hopefully, knock on wood, the temperature will be okay. St. Louis hasn't had a cold winter in a while.
Yeah.
So we're wishing that.
So you're due for a 15-degree day.
Yeah. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, so let's go through the archives a little bit, because in the 12 years plus you guys have been doing this, I've been there for a number of what I would consider marquee games, ranging from World Cup to Champions League, Chelsea in particular, Champions League final. Talk about a few of your favorite moments at the bar. What was the game? What was the crowd? What was the result?
2010 World Cup in South Africa, that would have been the England, U.S., the tie.
Yeah.
Right?
Now, isn't that funny, though? I mean, think about that. Like, people that are listening that are maybe on the fence, soccer fans, they just heard you say that one of the first game that came to mind, England-U.S. tie. Yeah. Like, nobody won, but we tied.
That's all we needed to do.
What was the game where Landon Donovan slid in the 90th minute to score that goal?
That was the U.S. England game. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure that's the U.S. England game in 2010.
I was in Panama City at a bar, at a soccer bar, mind you. It wasn't Amsterdam Tavern.
Yeah,
phenomenal. I mean, I can't.
So 2010 U.S. England.
Yeah, I would say then I would go. I'd go to 2012.
Oh, Drogba?
Chelsea yes. And Drogba. I ran from the back of the beer garden down the beer chute steps, up the bar steps.
Yeah.
When that happened, and you, JB, and Aaron Barrett were sitting at the end of the bar, and it just erupted. It was insane.
Well, here was the insane
JB
thing.
crying.
I think I might have teared up.
Tears of joy.
But you got to understand, in 2012, really all the early years as a Chelsea fan at Amsterdam, there was only maybe 10 of us.
Well, we weren't big. We're big now.
Well, you didn't have any good moments either in 2012 in prior Chelsea.
They'd won league. I mean, they'd won league. They'd won FA Cup. They'd been going and going and going. But playing Bayern Munich that year, and Bayern was like a 3-goal favorite almost, right? And the whole bar, it was like, it was like the Third Reich coming at us. Like, they were so militant that day. We were just sitting on the corner, like, oh my God, this sucks. This sucks. We were down, and then Drogba gets the goal, then we go to PKs. And when it erupted, it was literally like, he's like, the whole bar erupted. Not the whole bar, only 10 of us at the corner. Sure. And the rest of them were like, wanting to pay their tabs.
Get the fuck out of here.
From a business standpoint, he would have done much better if Bayern would have. Actually,
this is a true story. So a good friend of ours, AB,
yeah,
he actually bet against Chelsea, and he's a Chelsea supporter because he thought Bayern was going to win like 3-1 or 3-0.
Yeah, he poor choice, but here's the thing about those days. What happened early in the Amsterdam, say years 2 through 6? Talk about the educational process, like the amount of people that were like coming in, figuring out what the game was.
Yeah, so I think that's a good point because I was going to mention that earlier. I think what has been created at Amsterdam, and I'm not saying it's because of me and Rob or Lyle. I think it just became one of those deals where, when you went out to soccer to watch a soccer game, when I lived in Chicago and stuff, it was basically soccer fans. It wasn't guys or guys and girls who played soccer their whole lives, in at a high school level or college level or maybe semi-pro level, whatever it was, but. I start seeing after the second, third, and fourth year that people were coming in who had never played the game ever in their life and are wearing a kit and supporting it. And at first I thought that was weird, but then I'd step back and think about it. I'm like, no, this is exactly what the U.S. needs. We need fans, even fans who've never played it, who want to view it and love the game and support it. And that's really it's those people and the ones who have played soccer who come in and support the bar. They're the real heroes, honestly.
Yeah, it's funny because we joke about this a lot, and when you look at the the bell curve or whatever you want to call it, the timeline of Amsterdam from day one to today. And when you go in there on a big game day, there are a couple things that I noticed. Number one is the number of people there that are, it's clear. They're not soccer people, they're soccer fans. And there's a difference, right? Playing the game and growing up with the game, you just know the difference between a soccer person and a soccer fan. But the other thing is, and this is a little depressing, and I'm sure you probably will agree, is you have now hit the point where there's a generational change. You're 12 years in.
Oh, yeah.
We go in there now. Not only is there a group of people that are like, have never played the game, that are lovers of the game, that you guys taught that, but you also have this next generation of, new drinkers. How does that make you feel knowing that no matter what, if you turn the lights off tomorrow, you will forever be known as like an enigma and a initiative to grow soccer in town?
Yeah, and I that's what's so great about it, is because it really, it was and still is a grassroots bar. It's word of mouth. We never did a lot of marketing, because back in the day when we
I've never heard of it.
Maybe we should have done marketing. Sorry.
Yeah. Hey, I told him from day one, I'm like, look, man, $10 a month, Facebook, you can afford it. That's like 2 Busch cans. No, we're not doing it.
I think they got the Luligans.
Well, there's a couple groups.
That's Stelter's favorite group, isn't it?
Hey, there's a perfect transition there. Amsterdam has become the hub of not only supporters for particular teams. You've got the Liverpool fan club. You've got United. Little dust up with some of their people that was completely justified, and they've tried out a bunch of other places, and it's never really worked out for them. Like they're clamoring to come back home.
They are, and they're I mean, everybody, they're all, and there's, they're all great guys. Everybody who comes in there, they're awesome for the most part. You have a couple little hiccups like we had in 18, but we took care of it, and everyone's welcomed in there. There's absolutely no tolerance for fighting because you're Liverpool and you're Chelsea and you're Man U and you're Tottenham. There just isn't. So when that happens, we take care of it and
beat it.
Well, you know what they do is they go to like Jesse Finney kind of guys, and they make sure that all the gates and everything is taken care of. Like, it's one of those things that when you go to a big game there, if you feel the tension rising, it's like undercover 007 like soccer security guards.
Yeah, and even better, our customers, it's self-policing.
Oh, absolutely.
They take care of it too, which is why I love them also. So real quick to get back on that, kind of like the younger generation coming in and viewing and all of that. It's amazing. It's just amazing to see that happen, because it really has. I've never really seen it anywhere except for Amsterdam, and I'm not patting myself on the back. It's just something that I recognized when I went to soccer bars all over the country and blah blah blah. That it was the majority were people who had played the game their whole lives. And what I think is so awesome, again, probably repeating myself, is that having these people who love the game and maybe have never played it or never played it at a high level, or totally into it. I mean, that's what the game needs in this country.
It's about the camaraderie.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this question. You mentioned all these places that you went around the country. Have you been to a better soccer bar in the country? I mean, I've been to the bars in Manhattan. I go to Manhattan all the time. There is not a soccer bar that compares to that. Where have you been that you've been like, this place has a good soccer bar?
Yeah, I mean, Chicago's got a bunch that are good.
The Globe.
The Globe is good. I can't think of the name right now. Cleo's, I believe it's called.
Down on Chicago and Damon.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. So there are good ones, and I'm not there all the time anymore. I mean, Hidden Shamrock back in the day was a great one. That's the one that would charge $25 to get in because they kind of had to because it literally cost them probably $2,000 to get the feed back in the early mid '90s.
Yeah.
Put
it on Sky Sports.
Well,
Yeah, right,
you know,
right.
I'm going to toot your guys' horn for a little bit because the reality is, you know, I lived in Chicago for, you know, a decent amount of time. Cleo's was the sponsor of our soccer team. You guys just do it different. You do it. I think there's a couple factors. Number one, St. Louis is the soccer city in America. We are the original soccer capital. There's no denying that. I don't care what anybody says. Any of our fans listening in Jersey or LA or whatever, it doesn't matter.
What about the picture in the bar? Whoever bought it,
Peter Dunn's picture.
Who sent it around the country, and however long it took to get the how many people from St. Louis that were on that World Cup squad?
Yeah, so I'm going to fill in the gaps real quick. In the bar, there is a framed photo, professional print of the 1950 U.S. team that beat England 1-0. And the beautiful thing as it pertains to St. Louis is the gentleman, Peter Dunn, good friend of ours, that got the picture. He spent how many years, Matt, sending that thing around the country, seeking out the ex-St. Louis players that were in that lineup.
Yeah, I think most like the I can't remember. I think he's probably got 5 or 6 signatures. Most of the guys, fortunately, he got them signed before they died. And the one guy he was having an issue with was an East Coast guy. I think he lived outside of Philly at this time, and he had to reach out to his daughter, who then reached out to her dad, and he sent it up there, and the guy signed it. And I can't think of his name, but he was an East Coast guy. But yeah, it's pretty amazing that that's in the bar.
Yeah, I mean
that's an excellent picture.
Well, it's one of those things.
I don't care who the hell you are. If you saw the picture, if you have any idea what's going on with soccer, if you knew it, you knew the story. If you saw the signatures, if you know the backstory, and you knew there was 5-6 St. Louis players that beat England in 1950, fuck off. That's awesome.
I mean, that's how I feel. Like literally, you know, when we run around the country with our kids and we chase them and we do all the things that we do and we land in these quote soccer cities and these quote soccer communities, and I don't want to diminish any of the others. Look, they're producing great players. They're training, especially at the MLS Next level. I mean, U.S. soccer is on the uprise. But let's not kid ourselves. I'm a homer. You guys are homers. St. Louis just has a special sauce that other cities don't. You know?
Yep.
Case in point, and we haven't brought this up today yet. How proud were you when you saw the 2022 U.S. national team lineup and we had 2 of our boys out of the 24?
Oh, it's awesome. It's awesome to see that.
Both from Scott Gallagher,
Yeah.
both from St. Dominic. Guess who's a St. Dominic alum in this podcast?
Here we go.
Here we go.
Okay, no more St. Dominic talk, but I mean, think about that. We've all been around the game a long time. Matt, you worked at U.S. Soccer in the prime days, late '90s and beyond. You know, with your brother and everything. We'll get into that in a second. You've seen tremendous talent at the highest level from a U.S. soccer standpoint, and here we are in 2022, and that roster comes out, and you look at it, and not only is it two St. Louis guys, but yes, they were from the same club. What's your take on that? How does that make you feel when you see?
It's amazing because they're from St. Louis and we're from St. Louis, so it's you know, we're all proud of that, obviously, and they're good players too, right? You know, they both play in England. I'll say this: back in the day when I worked at U.S. Soccer, it kind of had become we had nicknamed it the East Coast Mafia. Basically, a lot of the coaches were East Coast, and they kind of just they kind of put St. Louis in the Midwest to the side.
St. Louis was poo butt.
And yeah, it's true. And a lot of the guys that they got were guys that they had coached.
Come play us, Delco.
Through college and whatever else. And so I think it's awesome to see this like kind of St. Louis. Like I think St. Louis was stagnant for a while, and part of that is because they kind of did the flyover deal with our city,
right,
and just the Midwest in general. So yeah, it's amazing. It's great, and I hope they and I hope they play well.
Well, let's frame this though. Your perspective is unique because you I mentioned earlier you're the baby of 6. Your bottom third brother was U.S. Soccer. He was
second oldest.
Second oldest, and John.
No.
Yeah, John.
Yeah.
What was his title at U.S. Soccer?
He was the national team director. So he had he was in charge of all the national teams except for the full men's and women's. So he had U14s all the way to the Olympic team, both boys and girls.
So that was out of Chicago.
Yep.
And when you moved up there, you went to school, you ended up going to work there. Talk a little bit about, first off, name 5 players that you touched, that you were part of the teams, just to kind of create a frame of reference.
Like Landon Donovan, Brian McBride, oh God, I'm drawing a blank.
Bradley.
Yep. Yeah, I was on the U14 with him.
What about Beasley?
Beasley, yes. Yeah,
probably.
I did a game with
Demarcus
Beasley.
and Jamarcus.
High press there, Jared.
Demarcus and Jamarcus Beasley.
Yeah.
Both of them were national team guys.
Yep.
So
Carlos Bocanegra, Timmy Howard, Brad Friedel, Casey Keller.
Now it's rolling.
Yeah.
So here's my question. Working with those teams, traveling all around the world to these tournaments that they would play in, the U17s, U21s, etc. Which of those players in the past, like when you were in camp, not only on the field but in the dining room and all of it combined, which one impressed you the most?
You know what? Honestly, if you want to go on and off the field, I'd say Brian McBride. Just stand up, solid guy, great player, nice as hell off the field too. Didn't have an attitude, didn't have an ego. Young guys. I was on U14 camp when Freddie Adu came in, and he was clearly just amazing. I mean, I'm just sitting there watching the scrimmages, and it was a joke. He looked like Pele. He would run from one end to the other and go through the whole team. I saw a lot of amazing guys. It was. I was lucky to do that and be around those guys. It was pretty amazing.
All right. Here's the deal. We're going to give you a quick update. That background noise you hear is the Urban Chestnut Brewery down here on Manchester in the Grove. They have a brand new game room / brew room / liquor room. If you haven't been, come. And one of the things about Urban Chestnut down here, and Matt, you and I have talked about this a number of times. You lived in Chicago for a long time. You've lived in New York. You've lived in Turkey. You've lived all over the place. I've lived in Chicago, and I've traveled all over the world. We're both kind of foodies, right?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
When it comes to pizza, right? We've ate pizza all over the world. Tell people about the pizza here.
Come here now. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. It's some of the best New York style pizza, even in New York.
Are we talking about the pizza at Urban Chestnut or the pizza in St. Louis?
I'm going to tell the pizza right here over your right shoulder.
That Urban Chestnut cooks.
Is legitimately, correct. It's not St. Louis style. It is straight New York.
It's amazing.
Kind of hand tossed.
It's all about the crust, too. The crust is amazing.
So the crust, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, the recipe for the crust came from What's his bread tenant?
Union loafer.
Union Loafers.
Yeah.
Union.
Smells delicious.
They came up with this pizza dough recipe, and it is by far the best pizza in St. Louis.
By far, Urban Chestnut Pizza is the
I-
best pizza in St. Louis.
Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to regroup. We're going to fill our pint glasses. You are going to try a piece of Urban Chestnut Pizza, and when we come back on, we'll have John Shine with us. Matt's sticking around, and we're going to talk a little bit more about soccer and beer, and you're going to try pizza, and you're going to give us a review.
Oh, boy.
You like that?
And you're not going to be able to eat one piece either.
No, it's one of those
Well, I'm
things
tubby,
that
so I can do it.
it's
It's almost like the Bush-Gallagher argument. I mean, once you try Bush, they're better than Gallagher.
You think? All right, here we go. We're out. Right. But you got to talk quickly because the music runs too long. YouTube will fucking ban you. So you gotta talk over the top of it a little bit. Little music. We are back for the second half of, I don't even know what episode this is, to be honest with you.
I think it's 9.
9. Yeah, you're right. Thank you, Carpool co-host Jared Bertrand. Episode 9 of the Soccer Dad podcast, where we talk a little bit about soccer and a whole bunch about shit. So, during the first half, we had a killer conversation with one of my best friends, partners in crime, Matt Stelzer of the Amsterdam Tavern. And now, during the second half, we have St. Louis's own Jonathan Shine. Are you cool with Jonathan?
I'm Jonathan. I've never had a preference, but John's great.
John's great. All right.
Well, that's good.
I've only ever called you John, so I'll call you
Yeah,
John.
no,
That's without an H.
I think his
is.
mother and grandmother call him Jonathan.
When he's in trouble, Jonathan.
Yeah, it's about this. Yeah, that's right.
So we have the John Shine from the Urban Chestnut Brewing Company. Dude, first off, just thank you for being a good friend for a long, long time.
You too.
You've been an incredible supporter of not only everything that Amsterdam has done over the years, and we'll talk about that in a second, but Gaslight Lounge and, working with Gaslight Studio. You for just our immediate circle, you've been a tremendous supporter. So first off, thank you live on air. I want to put that out there publicly.
It's fun to work with people that you enjoy and like-minded people who get excited about creating things, and it comes natural.
Beer.
Well, beer is the common denominator, right?
Beer.
So I thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
Wanted to I thought this made sense to have Amsterdam and Urban Chestnut on this episode because over the past 12 years in particular, 12 plus for Urban Chestnut as well, both of your organizations really kind of came to fruition at about the same time. Urban Chestnut Brewing and really the craft brewing movement in St. Louis in general was popping at the same time that Amsterdam comes to life. But Urban Chestnut, again, this is one of those things where I'm going to go to the starting line first here. You guys early on in the when you guys opened, because your first location, just give us a little 101, that was Midtown, correct?
That was Midtown, yep, Washington Avenue.
What year did you guys open?
2011.
2011. And
January.
there was a core of 3 of you?
Yeah, so when I was at Anheuser-Busch, David Wolf, longtime family friend, basically, we were all, anybody who worked at Anheuser-Busch back in the day will tell you, you bled it, it was your life. After the purchase, it quickly became obvious that
Not your life.
not your life anymore, and they had no intention of it being your life, and it was you were just
You were butthurt.
You know, it was like you were a stormtrooper, and it was like, you know,
Fuck these Belgians.
They replaced Darth Vader, and you were kind of like, wow, it's like
Yes.
I felt like the guy from that. What are they? I don't know. One of the recent.
Yeah.
Stars, you know what
No,
I mean? Like,
I
I felt like a
fired
stormtrooper
up.
who had lost his,
I get it.
his
And
way.
Just
fired up.
just so everybody's aware, it is the guy from Wentzville that is like the color commentary today. So let's lay that out there first off. Thanks, Jared, for your fuck those guys. But
No,
you
yeah,
know
not
what?
me.
Honestly,
I didn't say it.
you
'Cause
did
I
say
don't-
you just didn't say it publicly.
Well, no, I mean, we loved. I mean, I really, it was a wonderful experience working for the old company. We don't carry a bunch of resentment. I know it's an in style thing to do in the industry sometimes, and we don't really buy into it. You know, they paved a lot of ways. You know, we use a lot of their technologies, and you know, it's onward and upward. You know?
So you're saying you stole the recipe?
No, yeah, not quite.
Godspeed.
That'd be a different podcast, I think. You'd have to probably talk to Florian about that one. Yeah.
Well, this is a perfect opportunity for me to solicit any attorneys out there that would like to sponsor this Soccer Dad podcast for any illicit statements we make.
Yeah. No, I basically I just crowbarred my way into it as an investor, and David and Florian, the founders, and I basically I was their dude on the streets, and you know, it was a wonderful thing, and we were just reminiscing about it the other day. Me and Stelzer were talking about.
I mean, that's how I met you. You literally on the street walked in one day with some samples, and I'm like, yeah, sure, we'll carry it.
Yeah, it was. I mean, that's kind of why our paths have, you know, I walked in and met some really cool dudes who were doing a super cool thing down on Morganford, and, you know.
So a couple things that I want to talk about as far as that particular relationship goes. Number one, you're not a soccer guy. You were maybe a soccer fan. I
grew up playing for Bill Dawes, you know, at Whitfield, and you know what I mean. It's a wonderful program. Bermuda grass. I had all the most beautiful. Oh, we had the best damn.
You
we
talk
had the
about
best
the
damn
grass,
field.
which means you're a baseball player.
Yeah, baseball player.
Baseball player was your
Yeah.
bread and butter.
Yes.
So when you did walk in and you hooked up with Matt and Rob and Lyle or Rabbit or whoever it was, in
Rabbit.
those early,
Yeah. Wow.
when you walked in and they told you what they were planning on doing, what did you think about Soccer Exclusive, and B, how did you envision Urban Chestnut being a part of it?
So I thought Soccer Exclusive sounded very exciting. You know, Urban Chestnut, just with our German background, you know, and you know, Florian, obviously, you know, Florian being from Muhldorf, Germany, and brewing around Europe for a number of years. I immediately thought, well, you're going to have an international audience. I did not know the rabid, you know, culture that they were going to create. I didn't. I mean, we've stood in awe. As you know, Amsterdam has. I mean, Amsterdam really creates its own universe, its own culture.
It is a tastemaker.
It is 100%. I mean, it's a major influencer in the city. I mean, people look to Amsterdam for, you know, as a beacon of authenticity.
So let's talk about a couple things. Earlier, I talked about asked Matt about favorite game moment, memorable event at the club or at the bar, excuse me. You guys have been constantly rolling out product for years, and everybody knows your North Star is Zwickel, right? That is
delicious.
Yeah, I mean, my Wentzville partner here is like, oh my God, Zwickel, we're going to the home of Zwickel. I want to go to the home of Zwickel. You know,
I appreciate it. Zwickel was the first beer I tasted from Florian when I met with him and Dave. I guess I can say this here. I mean, Dave told me I'm working with this Bavarian brewmaster, and if you want to get involved, meet us at 6 Row Brewing Company. I think the idea of us meeting at 6 Row was because we thought we would see nobody we knew, and Florian was very stoic German. Nothing's changed in 13 years, and I got a chance that night to taste Zwickel that he had brewed, and immediately I was like, oh my God, this is a lager. Like I've basically, I mean, you have to kind of know where I'd come from too, you know, switching between Bud Select and Bud Light.
All of
I really
us-
didn't know anything. You know,
Yeah,
at that point.
here's the deal. All the 29 people now. I think we were 24 yesterday that are listening. If you
Yeah.
like beer,
It's probably 21.
it might be 21. It could be 29. If you like beer, you're a complete idiot if you don't try Zwickel. It's delicious, along with Underdog. Two best beers going right now in 200-mile radius. They're delicious.
And he's not just saying that because he's here.
No, it has nothing to do with you.
And so a little bit, we've talked about it a little bit. You know I've been doing this podcast for a little bit, and we've been, with the boys down at the stadium training 4 days a week during the week.
Non-stop.
We've been at Well Spent for most of them because it is the closest. It is open earlier in the week.
Yeah.
And they tend to brew what I call as cold and yellow beer.
Just beer.
Yeah, just simple beer.
I think
Same
they do a
with these
great job.
guys.
I do. Kyle, the guy who started it, I like Well Spent's approach. I do.
So their Keller beer and the Hoosier Pilsner or whatever it is. I mean, again, they
It's
are
lovingly lagered.
Yes. It's good, and it's funny because when we do the shows and we talk about it, we always talk about the beer. In the back of my mind, I'm like, it's still not Zwickel. It's still not, and no offense to those guys. I like it. It's good beer, but we do tend to gravitate towards, clearly what we prefer. You guys have just killed it, know?
I would say that it comes down to the fact that it's Florian's background, his pedigree. It has to do with, basically his background in microbiology and yeast propagation and our labs that he runs and
He knows his shit.
And he does and
Spell yeast
and
propagation.
it's I'd say sometimes we're closer to an Anheuser-Busch than we are to your average American craft brewery.
Well, you're
and
very
that's okay.
Bavarian.
And I think we're proud of that. And it doesn't always make us the coolest or the hippest or the most trendy. But I will tell you that it's the nice thing is we don't get tired of drinking our own beers because they're
Bingo.
they're sessionable.
God bless you.
Nice.
I mean, how many
Always drink
times have
another
we
one.
talked about this? And John, you and I have talked about this a lot over the years, like, talking just in general, when we were looking at the drink programs at our own places at the studio and, and obviously Matt and Lyle and the team always talk to you about what the people want. Your guys' beer, your approach is always predictable in a good way for a proprietor. We know that when you give us beer, we generally can expect to sell it. We're not giving something a new flavor or an experiment to a group of people or trying to create a kitschy marketing or price point to sell beer. You guys typically tend to stay in the middle lane and just make and sell good beer. In the craft, and here's my question: in the St. Louis craft beer market, how do you feel? What would you say is your strength for anybody that is looking for a local craft beer relative to the marketplace with what you do?
Sure. So I what I would say is that most of the beer that's drank in St. Louis and the surrounding area is macro style American lagers. What I would say is grab a 4-pack of Zwickel half-liter bottles and bring them home and have have somebody who's been drinking Budweiser try them, and if they're being honest, they're going to they're gonna enjoy it. And my
Absolutely.
my thing is is that we've I mean, just because of our size and the fact that our market is so small, and we are small because, like, if you go to Indianapolis or Chicago, I mean, Indianapolis, it's like I tell people, it's like if we were Indianapolis, Kirkwood would have 6 breweries. We're actually a very unique market, and so
because of AB.
Well, yeah, it's weird. AB puts kind of a governor on it.
Yep.
And I don't and in some ways I think what we do is we've got very high quality beer here in St. Louis, and I think everybody from Schlafly and Four Hands and Perennial and I could go down the list, and I mean everybody's making everybody's
spent.
making and well spent,
Our Monday
well
night,
spent,
Tuesday night sponsors.
I mean really, and honestly, I mean I would want Jake at Civil Life, Modern. I if I didn't name you, I sincerely, I mean it. There really aren't.
It's the passion.
Well, there really aren't.
Along with the Soccer Dad.
There really aren't bad breweries, and so, we've tried. I mean, we've tried to dabble and get into those areas, but I think that we all agree at the end of the day when we're sitting around having a Stammtisch, our German Pilsner. We're all kind of like, dude, this is the sweet spot of the bat, man, right here. It's like, why would you even want to go outside of it?
Stammtisch is Zach's
I've had 3 of them.
favorite craft beer. Whoa, there you go. Yeah, see? Right on point. Here's what I want to talk about real quick while we got Matt here, because Matt's like, I only do 20 minutes on microphone, and he's now officially at about 40 minutes. So we
it's at least an hour and a half.
Talk to me about the relationship between Urban Chestnut and Amsterdam, and
I'd love to real quick.
What goes through your mind when you look at soccer calendars and you look at you got a World Cup coming up, you got English League, whatever.
There is not another account. There's not a retail account that you can set your watch to like Amsterdam. I mean, it's kind of a terrifying thing as somebody who produces beer. Just to know that there's going to be 400 or 500 people jammed in there on a Saturday, because
before 8 a.m.
Saturday through Saturday,
right? Exactly. Just because there's a 7:30 match on, and it as a supplier, you feel like you can never be prepared for that, but you can set your watch to it, and I've never encountered something quite like that. What they have is incredibly unique, and I'm excited to see what it's going to do down at the stadium. I really am, because
there's
segue.
Is there editing or anything? I thought
I don't edit.
No, all good.
I just let it run. Oh yeah, here we go. Hold on. Let me see if this works. Yeah, good job.
That's amazing. I thought that's what we were talking about.
All right, cat's out of the bag. Matt, I'm going to give you 20 seconds, 30 seconds, however many seconds you need.
300 seconds.
Let's go. Let me set the table real quick. For those of you listening,
you have 17 dates. Let's go.
Clearly, you know that we have an MLS team now. You know that there is a ton of development. We're going to be starting games in March, and there's everybody rushing to the marketplace to get a piece of the pie. And our friends at Amsterdam Tavern, Matt, what's your role in the whole Midtown experience?
So we've been talking with a developer for probably like 8 months, and they have a building and they have a commercial spot. I'm not gonna give you too much, but it's very close.
Is it a driver 7-iron? Is it a wedge? Is it a?
I think.
Is it an Uber?
I'd say 20 years ago I could loft a ball into the stadium. That's how close.
With your foot?
Yeah.
Really? With those hips?
I said 20 years ago.
All right. So you're saying it's close?
It's close.
Heyo.
And so we're still in some negotiations, but hopefully, and I think we'll have some good news in like a week or two.
All right, so here's my take on that, because you've been kind of silent enough about it. I really don't know a lot of details. I mean, just full transparency here.
Yeah.
You know, you've been doing your thing. If I'm that developer, if I don't find a way to make Amsterdam Tavern my tenant, knowing that you are the brand, you know,
Well, come to the meeting tomorrow with the developer, please.
I could do that. I could. I mean, John.
I will come too.
You know, John's sitting here.
I might be
I mean,
drunk.
you're kind of quietly shaking your head a little bit, but like, if you're a developer,
John knows him very well.
okay, like, if you want,
Yeah.
So everybody's like on pins and needles here, but I'm not worried about it. I'm just gonna speak my mind for a second. If you want a soccer experience anywhere near City Park or whatever it's going to be called in a week's time, outside of the realm of their footprint, if you do not have Amsterdam Tavern involved in it, or if you have the opportunity to have Amsterdam involved in it, are you fucking kidding me? Because over the past 12, 13, 14 years, who has done more for the soccer community than Amsterdam? John?
Nobody. No. I mean, from an institution standpoint, no one. Individuals, you know what I mean? Not to take away from people who have built soccer in St. Louis, but Amsterdam has made soccer cool. Let me rephrase that. Amsterdam has made soccer the passion of young fans. And, you know, I see basically it has become the culture of South St. Louis. I mean, it's you're not a South St. Louis, and I feel like a young up and coming if you don't have your team and you're up at Amsterdam. I really is. It's a really amazing, beautiful thing.
John, you're going to make me cry. Thank you.
I mean that.
If you don't put a political yard sign in your yard, play kickball, and go to Amsterdam, you don't really exist in South City.
Would you
You're
guys
not doing it right.
Would you guys stop rubbing each other?
No, I mean, look.
Kind of, yeah.
See, living 7.5 hours west in Wentzville, you know, it's one of those things that I've been around the scene long enough. Actually, all of us have. We've all been in the scene literally the same amount of time. You know, I've seen the residential changes. John, you've seen the craft beer influence. Clearly, Matt, with Amsterdam, what you've done to the soccer scene. Like, there are certain things that none of this would have happened without your address. You know, how does that make you feel?
It's great, and you know, just to kind of go back from the first half of the show. I mean, once again, it's really. It is all of our patrons that really make it great. It really is, and again, not to sound like a broken record, but it's all about the young generation, JB, that you're talking about, who are coming in and supporting it. And you know, again, maybe they didn't play soccer. Who cares? They love it now. They embrace it. They wear the kit. They support their team. That's what makes it.
Well, you're only saying that because they buy beer. Because kickball players that yell red card every time, you know.
We love them all.
I was saying to Matt the other day, I guess it was yesterday, when I was telling you about about the dynamic between them too. You know what I mean? Matt's the properties and facilities and
you're talking about the partners.
Yeah. How they work off of each
Totally
other
agree.
so well, you know, how they
because Lyle doesn't give a shit.
No, and Lyle's the one who's going to say, you know, fuck you over the bar, and people love that, you know what I mean?
Are
we allowed to cuss here?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
Fuck.
It's a soccer dad pod.
All right.
It's
Sorry,
automatically explicit.
Well, and you know what I mean, and Matt's the guy who's going to throw you through the window, you know. But you know, it really is. It's a great yin and yang, and you know.
And Rob is going to be the guy
Rob.
that
I was
comes
going to say.
he
Rob,
takes all the cash and walks out the back door.
That's right. Yeah. Rob goes sits in his judge chair.
Damn, you guys really do know us.
We've been around a little bit.
We have. Yeah. Taking notes.
So we've looked backwards for the majority of this podcast. Let's look forwards for a little bit. We talked briefly about the potential of Amsterdam location near the new stadium. Earlier today, Jared and I were kind of joking about it because, again, speaking to the advantage of Amsterdam as a brand compared to the other new soccer bars that are coming in, there are 17 home games, right? For a city.
Yeah, I think, and then you get, I think there's 2 or 3 preseasons, so we'll just say 20 games.
Yeah. And you'll gain 25 with some random events. There.
So how do you?
So you'll have 25 events.
Yeah, correct.
Without playoffs.
They will. What the other new entries to the market will have 25 events. Amsterdam, with its brand, will automatically have 365 days of soccer branding. Do you?
Or at least 365 days of paying bills.
I think everybody has 365 days.
That's 100% truth there. You're not lying.
But do you feel good about because you've hit, and I've been there, and actually we joke about it because how many times in the past 2-3 years do you and I in particular say I'm not going up there for that game, and there being your place?
Yeah.
Because of the crowd, because you're at capacity all the time. So what does the new location, how is that going to play into your strategy moving forward?
Well, it's 3.5 to 4 times bigger.
Whoa.
Yeah, so it's big. It's huge.
John just was like, damn, that's a lot of taps.
Yeah, it's
Can we get John's Pizza?
It's 30. It's
Please. It's delicious.
We've discussed it before.
It's Chef Steven's Pizza. So Chef Steven, Chef Andy, a lot of chefs now.
Fuck all those guys. I'm calling it John's.
All right, I'll take it.
Yeah, I mean it's a 30 square hundred foot space, so it's huge. I just think that, and I think that stadium is really going to tie in kind of the downtown, the midtown. It's going to be good for the neighborhood. I mean, obviously they're going to have more than soccer there. They're going to have international rugby. You're going to have international soccer games there. You're going to have concerts there. There's going to be a ton of events, and then hopefully because of that stadium, these developers that we're dealing with also own 5 or 6 properties that are apartments and lofts. So hopefully that'll draw people into renting or buying. And so I don't think it really is going to be an issue. I mean, I think it really is, that area is really going to start booming, which is just great for the downtown area.
That's good for
as we all know, downtown is struggling.
I really think it's going to tie in St. Louis University all the way up Market through Midtown to downtown. I mean, I think it's going to be a kind of a blitz of business. People are going to come to that area, and hopefully it's more than 17 games. But, I mean, with people like you guys yourselves, business owners being involved, I mean, it could be phenomenal. I mean,
think about this. Sorry, real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Think about any other city that has literally almost in a direct row has a MLS, an NHL, and an MLB stadium, literally right in a row.
Downtown.
No other city has that.
I mean, because the metropolitan trend in most cities is to put it in the burbs, put it on the fringe. I just got back from Vegas last week, and it's like, you look at Vegas and you look at what they're trying to do, and it's like, man, this is. I get the population, I get what's going on there, but it doesn't feel like a city. It's not.
Right.
You go there for an event. When you come to St. Louis, it is a city. It is a city. If you're downtown doing your thing,
I mean, you could walk from the MLS past the Blues and then hit the Cardinals in 22 minutes.
Yeah.
That's how close they are.
So, Urban Chestnut, you guys are constantly moving chess pieces, both in front of the curtain and behind the curtain. All the changes down here in the Grove with the new game room, clearly creating a more consumer-friendly environment. You constantly are pushing the envelope. I mean, if you're willing to pull the curtain back, what's next? What do you got? What do you guys have coming down the pipe, or do you just simply plan on dominating the Zwickle world?
So we're sitting inside the new the Grove game room. We wanted to give people a place to sit down somewhere comfortable and watch the game in the Grove. We don't have that option in many places, and the Grove is a fantastic neighborhood. And we figured we had this wasted retail space at the front of our building, so we said, you know what, let's create it. And also, when people drive in to the west side of the Grove, we want them to see people out enjoying themselves and think, man, this neighborhood is happening from here all the way down to rehab.
It's yummy.
And
It's
you know, and so we want, that's our goal is to create this corner and make it a formidable force here. So that's the plan here. Midtown, we're building out the kitchen. It's going to be smash burgers, fries. It's going to be we're going to have some fantastic food. So Midtown for years is, it's unfortunately, when we moved here in 2014, our offices, everything, we'll be the first one to admit that anytime you leave your core location, it becomes I hate to use it's the wrong word, but it becomes an afterthought. Just from a facilities maintenance standpoint, just from activation standpoint, and we are recommitting to it. We actually, our lease came up this year. We re-signed. Dave Wolf was like, he negotiated some TI dollars, and we're gonna go hard at it because we believe in Midtown. I mean, that's why we moved there in the first place. And I'm not gonna lie, we've been in Midtown for 12 years. It hasn't come easy. It hasn't come, and that's with the Kranzbergs and spending a lot of money and people putting a lot of love into that neighborhood. And but we still believe in it, and we're still betting on it, and we think it's going to happen, and we're going to we're going to be there for a long time.
Does the stadium MLS help that belief?
Yeah,
100%.
Let's go.
Well, I mean, because the thing is, like,
It's reassuring.
I was literally just thinking about that because the reality is all these events that Stelzer was just talking about. At the end of the day, you guys are still, you have all the IP, you have all the Facebook search, you have all the Google presence. And so anybody that's coming to Midtown that is going to City Park and is looking for something to do, you're going to be there. And you are benefiting from a tremendous investment from the Kranzbergs to the west of you. So
and now the Taylors to the east of us. Yeah.
Those
are good people to have on both sides.
If you're going to have neighbors,
You're doing okay.
So that's awesome. All right.
So I just want to do a real quick shout out with John. John, you want to just explain to the audience the commemorative can?
Oh yeah. So we. Last year, we started a Zwickle. We wanted to bring back the suitcase, like the old 80s suitcase, a 24 12-ounce can. We brought it out for the box stores. Costco bought it right up, and immediately we found ourselves in a bit of a hole. We couldn't make enough of it, and we sending them like 2 pallets a week. And wonderful thing. And so this year we were like, we really would love to take these 12-ounce Zwickle cans and sort of make them more of a, put them in more people's hands. And we thought, dude, what better way than to do a World Cup commemorative Urban Chestnut Amsterdam
a 12-ounce
12-ounce Zwickle can. And I'd say JB's been hitting us up for years. JB has been pounding that drum.
2017.
He wants us to do a retro 12-ounce bottle.
Oh, dude.
So his MGD.
I would love the little 8-ounce little. You remember those little
ponies?
Yeah, the little ponies.
Fucking ponies.
Can you imagine an 8-pack of 8-ounce ponies of underdogs?
Yeah.
Underdogs.
Jared Bertrand, how many would you buy?
many
like
would I-
7,000
Smash
cases
those.
of those.
700 million.
Yes.
It's the
I like the 16-ounce
Shotgun.
pints that you could just take off, and they were cups.
Yeah,
That's a supply
that
chain
was a supply chain thing. We used to have those they were called 360 lids, and the whole top came off. And man,
Delicious.
they cost us $2 a case. I think I was
like
the
a
only.
Mickey's Big Mouth.
I think I was the only guy in the building who loved them. I mean, really.
I loved them.
And
I wasn't in the
but I'll tell you what, we didn't get rid of them. Crown Cork and Package, they were an $8 billion company. They came up with those things because they expected, AB, Miller, Heineken, get somebody to pick them up. Nobody ever did except for like us. And I just don't think those were paying the bills. And they shut down the manufacturing line that made those 360 lids. And it was
They were delicious.
It sucks. But
Good. I mean,
and then they sold the company.
it's a bottle. It's a
How good
canned
were those
product
by the
that tastes like draft.
How
Yeah,
good
they
were
did.
those by the barbecue pit?
No,
They were. And then I'd go down to Columbia, Missouri, and people would tell me that all the frat guys used them as spitters, and I was just like, oh, this is the greatest thing ever. It's really, I mean, like, I was so happy. I really was, and everybody was like,
Dude,
they're
why-
going to throw them in rivers, and then people are going to cut their feet. And I was like, I hope not. I hope that's not going to happen.
Why-
I loved them.
Why? I mean, you should have went to Skoll. You could have went to Skoll and had a partnership.
It sucks. They're gone. And people are like, why don't you go and manufacture? Like, I'm like, yeah, I'm sure we can go create I don't know. It would take some research. Somebody should. Damn
Research
it.
and
I'd buy them
cash.
from you.
Right? Anybody listening, if you've got about $20 million in cash that you would like to invest in,
Shout out to our production manager, Amy Stacy. I think she bought a ton of them, though. So we do have like enough for one last run at some point.
there
And
you go,
she's
Jared.
holding them for something special. He's texting.
he's texting his wife, how many can I really buy? I want like 1,000. All right, guys. Dude, this was fun. We are definitely going to do it again because we did not cross all the T's and dot all the I's. Plenty of stuff to talk about in the future. Guys, appreciate your time.
Next time, I want to tell you the Oliver Kahn story in the locker room.
Yes.
Good
See,
story.
that's what I'm talking about. I mean, there's plenty of locker room stories that I'm sure we left out, right?
Oh, yeah.
And John knows where all the Spuds McKenzie bodies are buried. Right.
I love Spuds McKenzie.
Yeah.
Bud Girl
I'm
story.
dressing my dog up tomorrow as Spuds
I have
McKenzie.
no locker room story.
Dude, you guys, here's the deal. We're done. We got to wrap it up because otherwise people are like not going to listen to this anymore. In fact, most of them have already fallen off the fucking line at this point. So give us a follow. Soccer Dad Pod, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Special thanks to Matt Stelzer and John Shine. Give them a follow if you aren't already. Amsterdam Tavern, Urban Chestnut Brewing.
Blue scored. We're winning.
Love you guys. And you know what? The Blues just scored, so that's a perfect way to roll out. Thanks, guys.
That's good, man.